It'll be fundamentally different than any other A&P program that's out there. We'll use hybrid learning, which is something that's not really been done far and wide. There's a couple of schools that have experimented with it. Ours will be fundamentally different. It'll be very much like the Khan Academy. Like if you were to get on, like learn how to do math or whatever, like you'll watch a video at night and you'll come into the hangar and immediately go to work. So we're very much trying to minimize classroom time as much as humanly possible. There's some things we have to do and sit down and kind of go through like basically like safety briefs about like, don't do this, you could get yourself hurt, that kind of thing. But for the most part, most of the learning should be done on the hangar in a simulated work environment the entire time. Most A&P mechanic schools, for the history of A&P mechanic schools, have been 2-year programs. Well, the reason why they followed a 2-year program is, one, the FAA requires so many seat hours to be done. Like, so they had to have 400 total seat hours over the course of that. Using a college schedule, the only way to get 400 hours is to make it a 2-year program. So like now that seat hour requirement has gone away, and we're also not following a typical college day. They're going to show up academy style where they go for 4 hours from 8 to noon every single day for the first year. Then we'll eventually add other classes as it comes along. That allows them to get through the coursework much faster. It also allows them to be like kind of baked into that work environment a lot more rigorously, so that way you produce a better product at the very end. So the student will come out like knowing what it's like to show up 15 minutes prior to the workday, clock in, get set, get ready to go, and then 8 o'clock, boom, they're off to the races. Because other A&P schools will say like, hey, look, this is a solo event, like you got to go fix the plane. That's not how real life works. The real life works is that like, I got to do my thing after this guy gets done doing his thing, and I need to get done so this guy can do his thing. And because it's a small area and you have all these different specializations that are trying to work. So we tried to induce teamwork into the curriculum from then on. With that will come a natural mentorship from older guys to younger guys. It happens on any team that's out there. Like guys who've been on a football team for 4 years versus the freshmen or whatever else. And you start to see that sort of like dynamic. Having a good mix of people straight out of high school and people that said, hey, look, I worked for 20 years, digging ditches, and now I want to do something cool. Like all of a sudden, like you'll see that cross-pollination happen inside of the class. So I'm pretty excited about that. It was an unintended consequence, but it'll work out really well. Okay, so the best place to start is probably actually with the Lear. So the Lear is going to be primarily used for airframe in general. So the coursework is broken down into a trifecta based on the FAA's certification criteria, stuff like how to taxi an aircraft, how to handle it, the basic physics, math, that sort of thing. Then it progresses on into airframe, which is everything to do with an airframe. So anything from hydraulics to advanced navigation instruments, air data systems, you name it. If it's got to do with an airplane or specific to an airplane, that comes in that semester. The last is going to be power plant. That's going to be any sort of power generating device that's mounted to the airplane. So the Lear is like our starter aircraft that they come in. So you'd think it'd be the end because it's kind of a big fancy jet, but really it's there to get them familiar with the aircraft, know how to tow it, know how to taxi it, know how to what all the parts and pieces are. And so in the corner back here, we'll start to introduce them into what composite layups look like, what that structure looks like, and then they have a CNC machine that'll teach them how to make molds. So that way they could go and they could actually measure, say like this cone right here and say like, hey, look, we want to make a composite part that will replace this. They can CAD that out, cast a mold, and then use a technique called resin infusion to actually build that mold out, and then they could effectively replace that part. Now, once they're done with all of the airframe side of it, they'll progress on into power plant. So power plant, we have our JT9s. This is the original engine off of a 747. We have 2 of them, and they'll start to work on these. Some of that will consist in like we'll do a nose cone inspection where we'll pull the nose cone off, pull the blades off. We'll measure all the blades, and then we'll blend. We'll have an instructor come on. They'll nick one of these blades, and they'll learn how to blend these blades. If you can run your hand up and down it, you'll feel the knocks where they've been blended in the past. It's a pretty standard repair that has to happen on a regular basis because this thing is hanging out on just right above the gravel as you're going down a runway. So that's a common repair that has to happen every so often, and so they'll learn how to do that. A Lycoming R680 in the corner. Now that is a radial engine that was originally used in Stearman's for training Army pilots back in World War II. They'll learn how to work on those, and they'll learn the sequence of the engine. So
basically what we're doing here in the tool room is organizing all of our tools in a quick to recognize if there's a part missing off of the different shelves, getting them in a place where we know we'll log the cabinets 1, 2, 3, 4, however we want to do it, shelving units top to bottom, and individual pieces, so that there's a quick recognition on whether or not we have any tools missing at the end of the day, and we can get them back in place. We want to make sure there's no parts left on the engine or on the aircraft anywhere after being worked. So this is just a matter of a way of keeping track of all the different tools that we have, easy accessibility, easy logging and signing out, to get them coming and going, so that we can maintain security of all of our equipment. And I've done most of my aviation experience. I started in the military back in the 70s. So it's been all commercial. I've been with the major airlines, and then lately, the last few years, with a cargo company. So I've been working on jet engines the last 40 years, jet aircraft, rather than everything's going from the reciprocating to the jet engines, even on the Eagles and things of that nature. So I have a little bit different side of the aviation industry. I've done some helicopter experience, avionics installs. There's different dynamics. Then they're trying to improve and get more up to speed on the current airline industry and what to expect, and how to train you to properly be able to handle the new aircraft that we have coming.
Well, if you take ownership of the assets that you have, like the airport, and then really kind of put a lot of effort and work into it, then no telling where this goes. And like the people definitely are very, very interested in it.